Welcome back, students. Master Spleen in the building. So I know you missed us during our kind of break of May, but we are back to analyze this Venture Cup as well and to analyze those community days, especially this one, the Gible Community Day, which it might be the most hyped community day ever. Shiny Gible was like mythical for some time, and now we will all have the chance to have our shiny Garchomp. We'll be joining a bit later by a special guest with PvPoke that will analyze a bit more which moveset you should run with Garchomp in the Master League. But without further ado, let's move to the content. And first of all, this community day will take place this Sunday, as usual, from 11 to 5 p.m. your local time, and nice list of cool bonus. Of course, the Gibles will be shiny with a high chance to encounter a shiny. When it comes to those bonuses, you will have incense for 3 hours, and you will have a free time catch XP, which is nice for those of you who are still looking to grind for the level 50. So like an excellent throw on a Garchomp will give you more than 3k per catch, and if you are under a lucky egg, of course you double it. The special move that Garchomp will be able to learn will be Earth Power, so definitely an improvement for Garchomp, both from a red attacker perspective and as well for PvP, as we are going to cover that. Keep in mind as well that special box will be available with this time featuring an elite charge TM. So if you are still looking for some elite charge TM, I think this is a fair deal and you should go for the box. When it comes to the optimals PvP IVs for the Garchomp, so basically in the Great League you should look for a 0-15-15 at level 14, so very low CP Gible. For the Ultra League you should look for the 0-14-13 at level 23.5, and for the Master League you should definitely look for the Undo, or at least a 15 attack, 96 plus 15 attack, so that you can have let's say almost the same performance as the Undo. So Garchomp for PvP is an extremely Swiss knife. Especially since the last buff of Dragon Tail, because before there was only the case to run it with Mudshot, given the fast energy generation of the move, and then you could go let's say full ground type with Sand Tomb and Earth Power, or you could go Sand Tomb and Outrage. But now with the Dragon Tail buff, it changed a bit, and there are some cases where you want to run a Dragon Tail Garchomp, as we are going to see that. Let's move to the Great League. So in the Great League, let's be frank, I think that Garchomp is going to be a niche pick. It has some nice wins, but as you can see, it might be, let's say, a bit frail to really perform super well in the Great League. And there isn't really a perfect move set here for the Great League, and it really depends on the mons. So for example, yes, you are going to pick Bastiodont, even if you are going with Dragon Tail, which is a nice win. There are some cases that if the Bastiodont is an XL Bastiodont and has super good PvP IVs, it can, let's say, it can flip the matchup, but most of the time you're good to go against the Bastiodont because basically you resist the smackdown, you resist the flamethrower. You resist everything from the Bastiodon, so the only thing is that the Bastiodon can just outbulk you. Against the Defense Deoxys, if you are running Mudshot, Centum, Earth Power, you can pick up the win. Same against the Ferrothorn, where basically you need to bait with the Centum and land the Earth Power. Plus, you need to really have a high stat Garchomp. You pick up Galvantula against the Hunter. You need to bait with the Centum and land the nuke. Against the Hypno, you can only win if you are running a full ground Garchomp. Against the Shadow Hypno, that's the opposite. You wanna have Dragon Tail, and you need to bait and land the nuke. That's a bit the same against the Shadow Machamp, where you wanna go with Dragon Tail and you need to bait. Just keep in mind that when it comes to Shadow Machamp, high stat product Shadow Machamp will flip this matchup, depending all the moveset you can run on the Garchomp. You can win against Mandibuzz if you go with Dragon Tail, you bait with the Centum, and you land the Outrage. You pick up the Marowak, you pick up the Melmetal if you are running Mudshot as a fast move and Earth Power, and you can go double nuke here. You can go with Centum, but you really need to have the high generation from Mudshot and land the Earth Power. You pick up Mew with all the moveset. You pick up Munchlax if you bait with Centum. You beat Shadow Nidoqueen. You can beat Obstagoon with Dragon Tail and the Centum bait. Against the Pelipper, again, you can win with Dragon Tail and the Centum bait. Against the Registeel, here you need to go full ground to pick up the win. Same against the Sableye. Against the Shiftry, here it's Dragon Tail and Centum. Against the Stunfisk, you can pick the Stunfisk and the Swampert with every move. And against the G-Fisk, basically you need to go with the full ground, and same against the Venusaur, same against the Vigoroth, even though you need to if the opposing Vigoroth has very good PvP IVs, he can flip the matchup, just like with Machamp. And for the other ones, I mean Talonflame, Toxicroak, and Umbreon, you need to land the bait. So keep in mind that those are let's say rough stats. I mean that if you are facing an experimented player, he knows that you need to bait, so he can just tank the first one, knowing that it might not kill you, and he can seal the deal. So that's something to keep in mind, and I really do think that Garchomp does not really fit in the Great League. It might be useful in some restricted formats where, for example, only ground moves will be available, and therefore you can have like dragon coverage with Garchomp. So that's going to be one of my advice here. Try to evolve one if you are not low on resources. For the Ultra League here, I really do think that Garchomp has a bit more play because he has more bulk, but it's a bit the same here. It's such a sweet knife that frankly you have very few matchups that you can pick with Garchomp with all the movesets. Those matchups, they are Crustle, Excadrill, Alolan Golem, Slowbro, Magnezone, Alolan Muck, and Nidoqueen. The rest of the matchup, as you can see here in the infography, basically it's going to depend on the moveset you are running. Obviously, if you are facing dragons, you want to go with Dragon Tail, and sometimes you need the bait with the Centum bait, just like with Altaria. If you are going against, let's say, fire type or electric types or poison types like Dragog, like Empoleon, you are looking for a ground type move. Sometimes you need to bait with the Sand Tomb. So you have here the infography just down there, just in case you want to screenshot that and study a bit the matchups that are really important. One matchup I would like to highlight, that's the Escavalier matchup. You can pick up the Escavalier matchup if you go full ground, but keep in mind that if the opposing Escavalier has a high stat product, he will survive the Earth Power after the bait, and he will be able to clinch the win. Next up, it's going to be the Master League. So here I'm going to just quickly pause so that you can maybe take a screenshot of that. One matchup that I would like to highlight is the Giratina Alterated, where if you have a best body, so a level 51 Garchomp, you can pick it with the double nuke Garchomp, Earth Power, Mudshot, Earth Power, and Outrage. So here it's a bit up to you, but you have the entire graphic here, infography, and I'm going to leave the floor to Mr. PvPoke, who really did the honor to join us, and that he will really analyze for the Master League which moveset you should run, and a bit some tricks on the Garchomps.
Hello, PvPoke here. Thanks so much for having me, my PvP Academia. Today we're going to go over what might be the most highly anticipated community day yet, Gible Community Day. Gible is, well, Garchomp is getting Earth Power when you evolve it. And how good is it? How good is Garchomp? Is Earth Power a good move? What other moves can you run with Garchomp? Those are all great questions, and I'm going to be diving into those in the next few minutes here. So Garchomp is currently ranked number 5 in Master League Classic, with a currently recommended moveset of Mudshot, Outrage, and Earth Power, beating Pokemon such as Dialga, it's very close, Melmetal, Rhyperior, Metagross, Giratina, and losing to the big Owen duo, well, trio, but Rayquaza doesn't really count, unfortunately. Kyogre and Groudon. Mewtwo is pretty close. Yveltal is pretty tough for Garchomp if it runs Mudshot. But we're going to be going over Garchomp here with this moveset. It's a very good closer. Shields down, hits super hard, gets to those nuke moves really fast. And stat-wise, pretty good stats. It's comparable to Dragonite, except Garchomp has a little more HP than Dragonite does, and that's going to be pretty important in some matchups we look at. In its move selection, Garchomp can run Mudshot or Dragon Tail. Until recently, Mudshot was the only move you'd run on Garchomp, but now Dragon Tail has been buffed to Dragon Breath levels. And that looks really interesting. We're going to go into when you might want to run Dragon Tail. For charge moves, you have Outrage and Earth Power, two very strong attacks. They're high energy, but you get to them quickly if you're running Mudshot. Fire Blast, if you want to be cheeky and hit Togekiss for big neutral damage. There you go. But the other move we're going to talk about here is Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb is a really technical move. It's a bait move. It lowers your opponent's defense. And I think if you're going to build a Garchomp, you're going to want to keep multiple Garchomp so you can run either Earth Power or Sand Tomb. And let's just dive right in here to some, we're actually going to go to multi-battle here. We're going to look at Master League Classic. We're going to look at Garchomp against the Master League meta. We're going to look at 5 different movesets that I have in mind that could be viable on Garchomp. We're going to start with Outrage and Earth Power. I think this is a very straightforward set, a very standard set. And you can see here in the one shield, we have a pretty even split 50-50 win rate against the meta. We're beating, losing pretty terribly to stuff like Dragonite, who just kind of outpaces us, to Dragonclaw. We're completely walled by Togekiss, which is unfortunate. But on the flip side, beating the big steel types, Melmetal, Metagross, even Excadrill, and just barely Dialga. This is something Earthquake Garchomp couldn't do before in the one shield. And Sand Tomb Garchomp, I don't believe can do this. Let's just double check. Straight Sand Tomb here. How does this look? Yeah, Sand Tomb is just not enough to take Dialga out. So Earth Power comes very much in handy there in the one shield. Now where this moveset is really going to shine, Mudshot, Outrage, and Earth Power is in the zero shields as a closer. Wow, as a closer, Garchomp has a 22-8 record against the meta, beating a ton of Pokemon. Its wins are gonna include, again, all those steel types. Earth Power does one-shot Dialga. So this is, almost exactly one-shots. So this should take Dialga out, even if it is best buddy. Gonna faint with that Iron Head. So hopefully no one gets an extra move on either side. It's good to know. Also beating Kyogre, I think Dragonite was on here too, was it? Yeah, Dragonite's on here. Beating Sylveon in the zero shield. Garchomp can reach 2 Earth Powers before Sylveon can charm it down, so that is really, really cool. And we're going to be losing to, of course, Togekiss, flying types like Lugia and Yveltal, Gyarados. So this is really the strength that this moveset has, is as a closer, shields down, getting to those nukes really fast, and basically one-shotting stuff. Another moveset we're going to check out. Mudshot, Outrage, and Sand Tomb. So this moveset is really capitalizing on people assuming that you're running the Community Day move. They're expecting Earth Power, and then wham, you hit them with the Sand Tomb bait. Drop their defense, and shenanigans ensue. So what does that look like? So this is with baiting. Mudshot, Sand Tomb, Outrage, Garchomp has a 22-10 record in the one shield against the meta. So this moveset has a very high ceiling if you land your baits and then follow up with an Outrage nuke. This moveset will be able, this is like your only win condition against Pokemon like Dragonite or Gyarados. But smart players, smart Gyarados players, smart Yveltal players will know they can survive the Outrage and not shield your first move. So if we turn baiting off here, for example, this moveset looks a little worse with an 11-21 record. So the bait game is where it's at for Sand Tomb. Super high potential, but also risky. And we're also going to see this moveset struggles a bit where Mudshot and Earth Power really succeeded. Looking at the zero shields, this moveset still pretty solid, but not quite as stellar. 18-12 record, I mean, that's pretty good. But you are going to be losing to some things you maybe want Garchomp to be beating. Like we tie Metagross, we lose to Dialga. So that's not a fantastic situation to be in. This moveset still has a bunch of play, and I think some of the more advanced and and technical trainers who enjoy, you know, searching out those win conditions, enjoy debuffing Pokemon and having matchup over matchup effects are going to thrive with Mudshot, Sandtomb, Outrage. So now things are going to get really interesting when we switch over to Dragon Tail. If you're going to run Dragon Tail, I highly recommend Sandtomb as your ground move. Dragon Tail's energy is a bit slower, so the Sandtomb is going to help out a lot there. Sandtomb debuffs plus the heavy Dragon Tail damage are pretty crazy. And in the one shield, we're going to have a 19 and 10 record. And in fact, if we just go straight Sandtomb, 21 and 10 record. So this Dragon Tail damage ramping up over the matchup is going to deal super heavy damage. You're going to be able to win a ton of stuff. Although I don't think you're going to beat Dragonite. You barely beat Dialga. I was looking at this earlier, and you don't beat Best Buddy Dialga, so that is very unfortunate. A little shy there. But some flying types that we previously lost to. Yveltal. That's now a win. How is Gyarados? It's still a loss, but closer. But Dragon Tail with Sandtomb has a lot of potential. You are going to need to build up to Outrage or Earth Power to draw shields, so that is good to know. It's a bit of a paradox. You want to be landing Sandtombs right away so that defense is lowered and your Dragon Tails are dealing more damage as soon as possible, but you also want to wait a little bit if you want to draw shields, because Sandtomb alone might not do it. Then where this moveset really shines, in the 2 shield. Look at this, we have a 25 and 6 record in the 2 shield. That's because we are committing shields to our Garchomp, we're protecting it, we're letting those Sandtomb debuffs build, and Dragon Tail just damage gets to astronomical levels. What does this look like with just Sandtomb? 26 and 5, yeah, really crazy. So I recommend this moveset, Dragon Tail, Sandtomb, Outrage. If you're thinking about leading Garchomp, if you want to use Garchomp as like a generalist dragon type, this is, I think, the moveset for you. Now you can also run Earth Power Outrage with Dragon Tail. The problem is the 2 shields still look solid. 20 and 12 record, that's not bad. In the 1 shield, let's see what that looks like. That's going to look a little worse. So a 13 and 19 record. This moveset is going to be a bit slower, a bit clunkier. You're running Dragon Tail, which has kind of average energy generation with 2 high energy moves. So a bit slow there. And then the no shields. No shields looks pretty good. 20 and 11 record. The thing with Dragon Tail is, let's say you've got Mudshot and Outrage. Mudshot isn't doing much damage, so you need Outrage to one-shot. With Dragon Tail, you're doing a ton of chip damage. So that's gonna help a lot if you can win the charge move race. Then you can win 0 shields against stuff like Yveltal, Kyogre, Ho-Oh, Gyarados, Groudon, lots of stuff. So this is also not a bad closing moveset. Dragon Tail, Earth Power, Outrage. Unfortunately, you are going to be losing still actually pretty badly to Dialga. Dragon Tail is going to make the Steel type matchups a little more iffy. So if you run Dragon Tail Garchomp, you have to think of it less as like a ground type, less of a Steel type counter, and more of a dragon doing dragon things. All right, and then the last one I want to just go over a little bit. You can, it is an option to run 2 ground charge moves. If you do run 2 ground charge moves, Sand Tomb and Earth Power, I recommend Dragon Tail so that you don't get completely walled by flying types. So in the 1 shield, pretty solid record. Again, this is with Sand Tomb baits, which, you know, can be pretty powerful. We already looked like what it looks like straight Sand Tomb. Even with baiting off, yeah, even with baiting off, you're still looking pretty solid. And I imagine, God, I imagine this looks similarly good in the 2 shield. So yeah, lots of moveset options out there. In summary, I'd say Mudshot, Earth Power, if you want to dedicate your Garchomp as a Steel type counter. Also good if your Garchomp's in the back and you're expecting you to use it in closing scenarios, shields down. Dragon Tail, I would use Dragon Tail if you're using Garchomp in the lead, if you're using it in more of a generalist type role, if you have other Pokemon on your team that can deal with Steel types more adequately. And then Sand Tomb is an option you can either run as a with Mudshot or Dragon Tail. I'd say Sand Tomb is most attractive with Dragon Tail because you have some steady damage output that you can ramp up. But Mudshot Sand Tomb is still an option if you want to play the bait game. So that is Garchomp's movesets. Lots of options. I recommend, again, evolving or keeping 2 Garchomps each for Master League Classic and regular Master League, so that way you can run 1 set with Earth Power and 1 set without Earth Power. Thanks again for having me, my PvP Academia. Thanks so much, and hope everyone has a fantastic community day. See y'all later.
So I really do hope you like this content. Don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe, and I really wish you a very good Gible community day. I hope it's going to be full of shinies and red ivies, and why not the Shando. Bye students, see you.